It's Brunch with Brian. We're here. I'm going to say that every time I come on. It's Brunch with Brian. So then you're going to have that in your mind. It's going to be one of your affirmations. So today I promised you guys I was going to talk about pre-foreclosures. So Charles is here already. Charles is good, saying good morning to everybody. He's already in there making comments. And so pre-foreclosures, let's talk about this. This is ever since the moratorium during the pandemic, because obviously people were out of work and the government didn't want everybody kicked out on the street, during this pandemic. So they put a kibosh. You couldn't foreclose on people and you couldn't evict people. And so that, obviously was a very weird development in the market. And there are some people who obviously got behind on their mortgage. And for literally years, they've been trying to work out a loan modification. So I'll tell you that these loan modifications sometimes work out, but even when they figure out what the new adjusted payment's going to be and all that stuff, a lot of times people can't make the first three payments. And that is the requirement of the loan mod, is you're going to get this new modified payment, which is lower and which is adjusted so that you can make it. And or they're sometimes what they do is they do a reinstatement, and that's where they say, okay, we're gonna wipe out the delinquency, give you a fresh start. They're not wiping that delinquency out; they're putting it on top of the loan. So basically, if you were $6,000 behind on the mortgage, they put the $6,000 on top of the mortgage, how much you owe, and say you got a fresh start. Okay, but you got to make those first three payments on time, or the whole loan mod crashes. They say, okay, this is the requirement. We're being nice to you, but you got to be nice too. You got to make these payments. So they're trying to help people, and that's great with these loan modifications. Sometimes they work, a lot of times they do not work. And a lot of times they have delayed the process monumentally. So you talk to people and you realize they haven't made a payment in 3 years. And you say, what's been going on? How come you're not foreclosed out of there? And they say, well, we've been working on a loan modification. So you are going to run into people who are late on payments. Anybody who's late on their payments, but they haven't been foreclosed on yet, we call them a pre-foreclosure. So the bank has not actually, taken their property back. They haven't been foreclosed and kicked out of the property by the sheriff. They're still in the house. Sometimes they're not in the house, but they still own the house. And they have the power to make the call. They can still sell it. So they can still sign some papers and sell you the house. Once the bank takes it, then it's a foreclosure property. Then it's in a different category. That's too late to work out a deal with the bank. You have to work out a deal with the bank. You can't work out a deal with the seller anymore. Now, when we work out these deals with the sellers, sometimes they're in the middle of a loan modification and we work with them cooperatively. And we say, okay, let's get this loan modification set up and let's get this thing done properly. And then we'll basically just take over the new payments. So you guys are going to be moving out, or you already moved out. And then so when the loan mod goes through, then we'll take over these new payments. Usually they're still in there. And one of the nice little benefits to a pre-foreclosure seller is that while we're working it out with the bank or while we're figuring it out, they haven't been making payments, so they will continue to not be making payments. Now, there are two exit strategies here when you buy a pre-foreclosure house. My favorite strategy is make up the payments. So you just, let's say they're, 6 payments behind and their payment is $1,200 a month. So that means you got to come up with $7,400 to remedy that overdue, mortgage. So I want you to come up with that money, $7,200, I think. Yeah. And so come up with that money, and remember, you're going to be getting that money from your non-refundable option deposit when you put a lease purchase tenant buyer in there. So you're going to be getting, at least 10 or 20 grand in a little bit, but you might have to float this money to the bank, in the meantime. So now make sure when you come across a pre-foreclosure and you say, okay, all I have to do is make up 4 payments and take over this property subject to. That's our favorite deal. Make up the payments, take it over subject to. Sometimes you can get a lot of free equity in a house because the people are kind of desperate and their payments are eating them up and they just want to solve their situation. They got an itch they can't scratch and it's painful. Okay, so you are their salvation. You're there to help them. Now, I want you, there's two exit strategies. One is catch up the payments and just take over the mortgage subject to and keep making the payments. Now, before you do that, before you send in a lump sum to catch up the payments, you must talk to the mortgage company. Sometimes it's too far gone. Sometimes it's already with the lawyers and they won't pull it back out of legal. And so they say, no, we're going to just be moving forward. It's too late. Okay, so hopefully usually they're not at that point. Usually they're relatively flexible. If your seller contacts them and says, hey, I think I can come up with a lump sum to catch up the mortgage. What would that be? How much would it take to catch up the mortgage? We need a number. And what do you need that by? So I need a number and a date. What's the dollar amount and what's the date that they need it by to call the mortgage, even to say we're caught up. Okay, so then you get that number, and usually that's your seller initially calling the mortgage company. Now, eventually, you're going to get an authorization to release information, but especially if they're working on a loan modification, they're already talking to somebody over there. Keep the conversation between the seller and them, and don't have the seller saying, I'm thinking of selling the house. Don't say that. Just say, I want to take care of this mortgage. Let me figure out how to do it. And don't have them say, I'm selling to this investor and he's going to catch up the mortgage payments. Don't say that. You might even want to be there when they call. You might even want to be on the other line or, do a conference call or be sitting next to them when they make this call to the mortgage company. So they're just trying to get a number and a date that would catch it up. Now, if the mortgage company says it's too far gone, what's your only option? Okay, the other option, so catching it up and doing catching it up and just doing a subject to is my favorite choice because basically you're getting the house for nothing down except for whatever it takes to catch up the mortgage, which is sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's 10 or 15 grand, but it's usually worth it because like I said, your lease purchase buyer's non-refundable option deposit is going to make that up for you immediately. So you are going to and then the other exit strategy is a short sale. So short sales were quite common, a long time ago, 2008 and 9, when the market was all crazy. There was a lot of short selling going on. Short sales mean that you talk to the bank and you say, Mr. Bank, we owe more than the house is worth, or we owe, more than, basically that's what you got to say. We owe close to or more than what the house is worth. Can you give us a discount on the mortgage and we'll pay you cash? Now, if you do a short sale, you have to pay cash. They'll give you a big number and they'll give you a date. Okay, they won't give you a little number that will take to catch up the mortgage and a date. They'll give you, this is how much it would take to settle the entire thing, a payoff amount. So what you need there, if you're going to do a short sale, is you need a discounted payoff amount. Now, if they already owe about 50% on the house, you're not going to get a big discount on that. And so, there's not, a lot of times there's not a deal there unless they're willing to give you lots of free equity. Okay. So, but if they owe closer, then you can sometimes get a discount on that, on the mortgage amount, and get it discounted down. If the house is in rough shape, it's easier to get a short sale because you can send them some pictures and say, you don't want this house. It's a mess. Let me have it, work out this short sale with me and I'll buy it and I'll take care of everything. All right, so that's your two options. Short sales, I'm not crazy about. Short sales are dicey if they're ever going to work out or not. Sometimes they're time intensive. You have to put in a lot of time to see if it's even going to work. If you have a very cooperative seller and that's the only way to go, there's no catching up the mortgage, then it's better than just jettisoning the deal. I would rather have you try. So try to work out the short sale. Get a short sale packet, order a short sale packet from the lender. They have a packet prepared. They know what this is and they know how to do it. So they will send a packet that you have to fill out. The seller has to fill it out, but you can kind of help them. And then you request the biggest discount possible. And then you have to come up with cash. So this is something where you need some kind of financing or you need cash for these short sales. You need to be able to finance these. So that's another reason I'm not crazy about short sales, is even if they say yes and you say, I'm rejoicing, they gave us a good discount, then you got to hunt around, you got to find a bunch of dough because they need it by June 1st, or else the deal is off. Okay, so that's, we're talking about pre-foreclosures. Let me see some of your comments. You guys might have questions as I'm going along. I like to try to tune into you as I go instead of just trying to catch up at the end. All right, so good morning, Robert. Good morning, Charles. Roger, good morning, everybody. Memo's been doing a really good job being here every day. And KJ's always here. Noel and Kathy are always here, and Caleb, you guys are doing so good. And who else do we have? Roger. Yes, that's what went through with the sub 2 house I bought here in Vegas. Okay, so Roger bought a house subject to that he caught up the mortgage, a similar situation like this. This is what I like. This is a deal where you've got a motivated seller. They're getting, the mortgage company's breathing down their neck a lot of times, and you're going to ride it on your white horse and set them free and even give them some moving money. Now, listen, you can give them money, and if it's not a short sale, everybody can see that you're giving them money. You can give them $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever if it's a great deal. Now, if it's a short sale, the bank can't see them getting any money. So you can't say, I'm going to give the seller $10,000 and I'm going to give you whatever your loan mod is. They don't want to see that seller getting any money because the seller's been not paying them. So if you're doing a short sale, it's a little different animal. You can't get the seller money unless, I do want you to get the seller money. You just have to do it as a side deal. You have to buy their couch. Buy their couch for $5,000. It's a really nice couch. So you're buying their couch for $5,000. You need to purchase, an actual receipt. That's how you get somebody money in a short sale deal. In a deal where you're catching up the mortgage, depending on the situation, sometimes we'll give the seller some money. Usually we try to get them moving money anyway, make it worth it for them to do it. Morning, WL. You're doing a great job. Lacey, hi guys. All right, we are flooded with pre-foreclosures. Okay, so now how are we finding these? Now during your normal marketing, whatever you're doing, there is a space on the FSBO info script, on the FSBO opening call script, where you ask them about the mortgage, and you're asking them, how much do you owe? What are your payments per month? And are you current? And that's where you find out basically if they're not current. If you're just calling off a FSBO or some lead or referral or wherever it came off, the sign call or wherever it came from, then you're calling them, and when you ask them that question, you're finding out, okay, this thing is 3 months behind, 6 months behind, 2 years behind. And that's when you find out it's a pre-foreclosure. Now, if you want to specifically target pre-foreclosures, you can do driving for dollars. A lot of these ugly vacant houses that are sitting out there are pre-foreclosures. So if you have anybody who's a bird dog, or if you're out there driving for dollars and you find houses that are, overgrown grass, vacant, newspapers in the driveway, no cars, so it's clearly vacant, and you can tell, that very likely could be a pre-foreclosure. So you got to do your research, find out the seller. You can do a reverse lookup in the white pages, or you can do a skip trace. And nowadays, guys, it's easy to find pretty cheap skip traces. We have a CRM program. We use RealFlow. We use a whitelisted version of RealFlow. So now RealFlow has a search program where you can search for pre-foreclosure sellers. So that's the other way that you find. Either you find it through your regular marketing and you discover it's a pre-foreclosure when you ask them if they're late on their mortgage, or you target pre-foreclosures specifically and send mailers to them, send offers to them. In some of our programs, we actually can send out an offer on a pre-foreclosure house without even talking to them. You just send the offer. That's a pretty aggressive marketing position. But you can send postcards. You can send anything to these pre-foreclosures. If you are in the Wolf's Deal Club, and I know some of you guys have been thinking about doing the Wolf's Deal Club, this would be the time to do it, because we're coming into summer. Okay, the Wolf Steel Club is a little bit more of an investment, but this is an investment in yourself. And if you want to do the pre-foreclosure market, we will use our software program, our RealFlow, and send you a list of pre-foreclosure sellers to work. We'll even do a skip trace for you and give you all the phone numbers and email addresses for them as well. So that's only if you're in the Wolf Steel Club, because that's an extra step for us and extra work. But that is a way. So now if you had RealFlow or some of these other programs, there's a lot of different ones, PropStream, lots of different programs that people are using now as CRMs and marketing programs and search programs. You can do a little bit of research there. I do like RealFlow. I think it works well, and I think the search program is good as well. I like RealFlow, but there's a lot of them that are very similar to that. So for that, you can specifically choose pre-foreclosure sellers, and I choose pre-foreclosure and vacant. In RealFlow, they let you layer the search. So you can pick vacant and plus pre-foreclosure, and you get the hottest properties. Now, if you have access to a program like that, that's my recommendation. Pull vacant plus pre-foreclosure, do a multi-layered search, and start mailing and targeting those. These pre-foreclosure ones are actually worth door knocking. Okay, I don't say that often because door knocking is kind of a hassle. You have to go out and you have to knock on people's doors and actually talk to people. But if you see some pre-foreclosure that's getting close, that's only a month from foreclosure or something, these are properties that's actually worth going out there, knocking on the door and saying, hey, I sent you a couple of mailers. I'd love to help you with this house. I understand, I have a software program that helped me find deals, and I found your property through the software program, and it mentioned that you're a little bit behind on the mortgage. Is that right? And so that's how you find them. Like I said, you find them however you find deals anyway, but you can also use specific search programs like RealFlow and target pre-foreclosure specifically. So Lacey says they're flooded with pre-foreclosure, behind on motivateds. Yes, they're sure motivated. Good way to get a pretty house. Banks would rather have payments than houses, right? They don't want to foreclose on it. That's why some of these things have dragged on so long. The bank doesn't want the house. They want somebody to start making payments on time. They want a performing asset. That's what a bank wants, not a non-performing asset. That's why they're willing to do short sales. They want to get non-performing assets off their books. Christopher, Cesar, can I trade a big expensive motorhome for equity? Absolutely. Absolutely. Trading is a great idea. If you have, obviously the seller would need to want it. Okay. Hopefully the seller wants a big, beautiful motorhome, but we do trades all the time. I mean, we take trades. So if people are a lease purchase buyer who wants to move into one of our houses and they have something nice, that they want to give us. Also, we take anything that people want to leave in a house. When your sellers are moving out, if they don't want to haul a whole bunch of stuff. But absolutely, guys, you can trade things. Yeah, obviously, the seller has to have a desire for it. Robert, yes. Yeah, guys, watch this one again. This one is pretty intense. There's a lot of information in here, and so you can take a lot of notes. Okay, foreclosures. So foreclosures are really good, guys. Hi, everyone. Great to get a better handle on acquisition. Yes, of pre-foreclosures. Isabella, nice to see you. Yes, and I'll tell you what, if you're doing a short sale, that's a nice point, Lacey. If you're finding property where there's two mortgages, if there's a first mortgage and a second mortgage, that's the easy one to get a short sale. That's the one to target for a short sale for sure, because the second mortgage company a lot of times is almost written it off if they haven't written it off. And so they're willing to take almost nothing. A lot of times you offer them, pennies on the dollar. So I would say, if you owe them, if there's a second mortgage for 20 grand, I offer them 10%, $2,000 I'd offer them. If there's a second mortgage for 50 grand, I'd probably offer them $5,000, so I'd offer them a 10% on their short sale. So now when you go to the second mortgage company, sometimes they don't need all the paperwork and they're a lot more flexible. And they say, yes, if you can send us a check for $5,000 by end of business today, we'll call it even. Now make sure you get a release. you need to have a release, and you got to make sure they release the mortgage. They have to file a lien release with the county to get that mortgage off of there. But yes, you will give them a big check to settle that second mortgage. And that's where you can sometimes get a big discount, because the mortgage might be a $40,000 mortgage and you settle it for $5,000. And so you're getting a $35,000 discount right there. And the first mortgage, you can catch up. So this is the key here. Discount the second, short sale the second mortgage, catch up the first mortgage. That way you only have to come up with a little money to pay off the second and to catch up the first, and then you're set. You don't have to go get a new mortgage. You don't have to get new financing or anything. So that's a really important one, guys. I want you to, I'm glad you brought that up. So second mortgages are juicy targets for short sales. But also anytime you can catch up a mortgage and keep it in place, it's nice, it's sweet. It's like subject to, it's easy. Morning, Linda, great to see you. Seller R asking 150, okay. Willing to wait. Stuck like, okay. Lacey, yeah, I love working on contracts. And whenever you guys get to that point of a contract, you're so close to the deal. You're so close to closing the deal. You guys have our email, right? It's wolfcouple@gmail. Or no, I don't want you to send to that one. support@thewolfcouple.com. support@thewolfcouple.com. And Lacey, if you send me this, if I understand this correctly, you need some help on an agreement. If that's the case, you can send me the agreement, attach it to an email, and I'll look at it. Okay. Be very specific. I can't take a bunch of time, but be very specific about the questions that you need addressed. All right. If anybody has contract, if you're at contract with a seller and it looks good and you're struggling and there's no one to help you, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I will help you. Okay, so yes, buy their couch. Yes, that's a strategy. Remember, the bank can't see you paying the seller any money or giving the seller even moving money on a short sale. So you do a side deal. PropStream. Yeah, PropStream is another one, guys. PropStream, RealFlow. There's a lot of other ones. I get the NOD list. Okay, now that's there. Roger, great point. Guys, what you're looking for is the NODs, notice of defaults. So they call them NODs. Sometimes in some areas they call them Liz pendens. And so that it sort of depends. That's a Latin phrase for late on the mortgage. Okay, so lease pending. So I want you guys to make sure that you can get this from title companies. That's a great point, Roger. You can get it for free if you have a good title company. You're just trying to get a list, and this is a published list of NODs, pre-foreclosures. And so that's obviously what your computer program is using. And you can search this list just yourself as well. So that's a great point, Roger. You don't need PropStream. You don't need a computer program to get the NOD list. In fact, you can do a search in your area and just do, pre-foreclosure properties. Do a search on Google for pre-foreclosure property list, and they'll come up with some places. But guys, if you get a cooperative title company, they'll give it to you for free, and they get it every day. So that's a really good resource. Roger, thank you. That's a great point, and I missed that one. I forgot to say that. So again, guys, you don't always have to have a program. You can get it from title companies and other sources. RealFlow and pre-foreclosure list. Yes, pre-foreclosure NOD list. And courthouse, right? Well, obviously the NOD list is going to be at the courthouse. And skip tracing. Now, if you have a computer program that does skip tracing, we can skip trace for a dime, 10 cents. I don't know how much you guys are paying for your skip traces, but RealFlow, in our RealFlow, we pay 10 cents a skip trace, and they're pretty good skip traces. So if you're paying more than 10 cents, check it out. Same title company. I closed the sub 2. I asked for the NOD list and they took my email down. So there you go, guys. You could actually be getting the NOD list emailed to you every single day from a title company. How sweet would that be? And then if you really want to pursue those pre-foreclosure, and that should be free. They should not charge you to do that. So Thank you, Roger, for chiming in here. Oh, so Lacey uses real flow like we do, and Roger uses real flow. That's great. I'm in Texas, so you're quick. That's great. Oh yeah, they foreclose quick down there. That happens. They're quick foreclosures. Michigan and some of these states take forever, but yeah, some of these are very fast. Okay. Yeah, CRM is a good one for your Real Flow is good for the CRM. That's the one I like. Just moved to Texas, 30 years. Wow. Okay. All right. So let people know. I'm obviously working the Phoenix market and other markets. Uh, Now, yes, if they're late, Lacey's talking about, do you wait 3 months? Do you wait till they're late 3 months before you contact them? It depends on how many leads we are working. If we're really working that market and we want more leads, you go a shorter time. So just 2 months behind, you start calling them. Now, technically, I hate to say technically, but technically, they're not a pre-foreclosure till they're 3 months late. A lot of people will think that way. Okay, so 3 months is a good line of demarcation, and you're definitely gonna have motivated sellers at that 3 month point. Yes, and expired listings. Expired listings is another source. Now you got to get that from a realtor. So loan mod. You know what? People worry about this calling the loan due all the time. That's why you're going through the seller. Okay, so you're working, the seller is having the main contact during that loan mod process. I don't want you coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to help you negotiate. I'm going to talk to the bank for you during that process. Let the seller work out the loan mod, but you coach them through it. Okay. And then and that should be process of emails. I don't want them really talking to them. Just, tell them what to send in the email, and hopefully you can work it out that way. Okay. The loan modification process. And if they get the loan mod worked out, then you get the benefit of the lower payment. So that's good. See tons every month. First Tuesday every month is auction, and I see the auctioned off, and I feel bad like I didn't do my job because I see them 2 months before they go. All right. Great point. So Lacey's obviously following up on these pre-foreclosures, getting the NOD list, the pre-foreclosure list, and realizing that there's a lot of deals in there. And then when you see them go in the auction, you see them sell for less than what you would have paid. That's kind of annoying. Could have been your deal. 10%. Yeah, 10% offer on the second is what I do. Offer 10%. Okay. Okay. Totally relatable. Yes. A lot of good comments today. Okay, that's a question. That's pretty in depth. Yes, I understand what you're saying there, Isabel. I honestly want pre-foreclosure, then short sale every month, new pre-foreclosures. That's great. Okay, Lacey, reach out. I can help too. Hey guys, this is why we're a group. We're the Brunch with Brian group. Okay, so Roger obviously is pretty sharp on this, and so is Lacey. They're working this pre-foreclosure market. What would it hurt to send them a direct message? No, I want you guys to interact with each other and learn from each other as well as me. And so that's going to build our group and make us all smarter. That's why I love it when you guys chime in when I forget to mention something. Okay. So awesome stuff today. Thanks, Caleb. Great brunch with Brian. All right. Just built my CRM off high level. Okay. That's all right, guys. If you want to know what Roger's talking about, send him a direct message. Hey, Roger, I hope it's okay. I kind of opened up, some communication here, but I hope you guys are all good with, sharing and getting in touch with people. Lacey's getting expired listings every morning. Did you see that? There's always tax averages. Roger, what title company are you getting your NOD list from? It's a good question, Madeline. Roger, what title company? Are you using a big national title company that we'd all recognize, or are you using a smaller local title company? What's the title company that love our community? Yes, me too. Can someone clever create a BWB Facebook group? Yes. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, everybody. Great points today. And guys, direct message people when you have questions. Pre-foreclosures is a thriving market. I mean, you could definitely close 2 or 3 or 5 pre-foreclosures by the end of summer if you focus on them. You got more motivated sellers, and sometimes if you can just make up a few payments, you got an easy subject to deal. So we really love these. Roger says First American. Awesome, guys. First Americans everywhere. They're a big company. So you could always call your First American Title Company today. Wouldn't this be a good action? Call your First American Title Company today, whichever one is closest to you, and say, hey, I invest in this area, and I was closing with somebody else, but I want a new closing agent, and I've heard I got a recommendation from a friend of mine who uses First American, and so I would love to use you guys. Would that be okay? Guys, the title company agents, I mean, they'll get gift baskets and cookies and go out to realtors' offices to try to drum up business. So title agents generally are looking for business and happy to give you business. And so you say, well, that's great. I'll definitely do my next closing with you guys. Oh, by the way, you know, my friend Roger, he gets a NOD list from you guys every day. Can you send me that? Could you email me an email list? If I give you my email, could you shoot that over to me every day? So, wow, this is a really good strategy session today, guys. I'm really glad we talked about pre-foreclosures today, because you guys can all be pursuing pre-foreclosures this summer. And yeah, there's a lot to watch here. So, and the sharing is great, guys. Yeah, they from America. First American. First American, yes. Good question, Madeline. See, you wouldn't have got the answer if you didn't ask. So he gets the expired listings from a realtor. Well, that is true, guys. The expired listings come from a realtor. So I want you to have a good realtor on your dream team as well. And I'm telling you, all the realtors out there, none of them have a go-to person for seller financing. If they ever run into a seller who says, you know what, I kind of like to maybe rent this, but you know, I like to sell it too. That's your perfect person. That, you know, and so sometimes they'll come. So every once in a while, you'll see a listing for rent, for sale or lease, for sale or rent, different things like that. So you know, make sure you got a realtor that's sending you good leads and also helping you out with expired listings. Okay, wow, lots of info today. So let's all attack it. I love pre-foreclosure. I love pre-foreclosures. 3 times on 3. That's our affirmation. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I love pre-foreclosures. I love pre-foreclosures. I love pre-foreclosures. You guys are all joining in. Yes. All right. Now every morning we do our affirmations followed by our 3 deep breaths. Nice deep breath in with a big smile. You're doing it right. And exhale, relax your shoulders, your neck. Another deep breath in, real deep. Always put a smile on your face and exhale. Okay, one more. Real deep, hold it and exhale. Start each day, use this deep breathing during your day for invigoration and rejuvenation, and always wear a smile. Say it with a smile, that really helps. All right, guys, so awesome brunch with Brian. I will see you on Monday. Let me know how you guys are progressing. On Monday, you can tell me who called First American Title and got them sending them a list of properties. That would be great to see. Realtor friend sends me expired. Yes, seller will do. He has seller, will do seller financing. Okay, now I have an answer for you, Lacey. I have a blended funding opportunity for you. All right. I know a mortgage company that will do a new first mortgage. If the seller is flexible to do a seller subordination, we can get the big down payment from this lender, give them the whole 50 grand or 100 grand, and then they'll carry a second behind it. I'll talk about that next week, guys. Seller subordination. So if you have a talk to me, okay? Because I can hook you up. I actually am a private money broker, and I can hook you up. Awesome. Okay, awesome, everybody. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Lacey, for extra good stuff. Thanks, everybody, for great stuff today. Until I see you on Monday, and update me on how you all are doing. Keep expecting success, getting awesome training from the Wolf Couple, and taking action.